Welcome, everybody, to the SlotsFan podcast. I'm Matt Showell. I'm filling in for NJ Slot Guy for the time being. And today with us, we have the goddess of slots. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for coming on the show. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And prayers out to him.
Yeah, we look forward to welcoming NJ back very soon, I'm sure. I wanted to start by, asking you, what's the craziest part of being a slots influencer? I know there must be so many ups and downs, but why don't we get right into it? What's it like, and what's the side of it that people might not see just from the videos that they check out on your channel?
So I think just for the mere fact that I am a slots influencer is the craziest part of the whole thing. It started a couple of years ago. I threw money into a machine. I hit a jackpot. It went, and a friend suggested, you can post it. You can post it. I posted it. It went viral. I was actually in between acting jobs because, as we were talking, I'm actually an actress by profession, and this was just killing some time. Anyway, it went viral, and next thing I knew, it was like, there's a whole world out there for this, which I'd never heard of, but I do have some friends that follow other influencers. And so that's how it all got started. The highs and the lows, people can be super supportive and people can be super mean. so that's the highs and the lows. If I'm gambling and I'm doing a live, if I'm not hitting, I'm dying on the inside. But of course you have to portray happiness. So that's our little secret.
Yeah, I can't imagine what. So did you know about slots content and stuff before you did that? Or were you following? Or was it a learning experience when you just started posting your own content?
Every single thing I have done has been an absolute learning experience. From the mere fact of posting this. Again, we videoed it just because I won, and it was just for fun. We didn't video it with the intention of putting it, of having it go anywhere. And it actually started on TikTok because I was, involved with posting things on TikTok like everybody else was, sharing their lives on social media. And the fact that it went viral immediately is what was like, wow, this is nuts. And then a friend of mine who actually really does follow a lot of the influencers, like a Vegas Matt or a Lady Luck or a Big Jackpot, he said, there's a whole world out there of this, and people are making money doing it. And that was crazy. And the fact that, as I said, it went viral, and then he's like, you got to come up with a name. And so we're just like, what should I call myself, and he calls me goddess just as a joke anyway. And he's like, well, you dominated the slots, so, goddess of slots. And I'm like, okay. So there we go.
That's awesome. Give us a bit of background on where your history playing slots. I assume it wasn't like your first time playing. So has it always been a big part of your life? Do you have a long history visiting the casino or being a slots fan?
What's funny? I grew up right down the block, literally, from Yonkers Racetrack. So I knew a lot about horses and casinos and things like that, but I didn't really pay very much attention to slot machines. I would go with friends in the summertime to Atlantic City in New Jersey, and we would go and we'd play around, and we didn't take anything too seriously, but I always enjoyed craps. And I don't do black. I, have to use my fingers for blackjack or find a very, very kind dealer who's willing to be patient. But I enjoy craps and I enjoy slots, and the slots just seem like a fun thing, and that's where the channels were. So I tended to focus a little bit more on that as a result.
Has that changed? Like, has your love of slots grown over the time that you've had the channel and spent so much time playing different games and experiencing what it's like?
Yeah, so now it's really fun. I really enjoy meeting the other influencers and just meeting people in general. I enjoy that piece of it. Dragon Links is probably, like everybody's, one of my absolute favorites. And once you get to know the game and you know what you're doing, there's definitely an adrenaline rush that comes along with hitting and getting into the bonus round, and going there. So I enjoy it. I'm not an expert by any means, but I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, okay, this is a denom that seems to be hitting a denomination that seems to be lucky. My denomination is usually a $1 denomination, a $25 bet. That first time I played, I think it was like maybe it was $12.50. I think I was playing $12.50, and I hit. First time ever was in Atlantic City at the Hard Rock, and that was for $1,500. And that was it. I was like, oh, this is fun. But I'll do things like, well, if you go to play top dollar and you see the top dollar thing is just underneath the line, I'll go and I'll play that. Or little pointers that you pick up, like I don't tend to play machines that are very close to where people are playing table games, because to me it just seems that maybe they don't, and again, maybe they don't want the distraction or the noise or whatever. I tend to play games that are more on the aisle, more visible, or like, for example, if I'm in Atlantic City, I'll play by a window because there's the high limit room and then there's the window. I do like to go into the high limit room. It's another thing, a little tip that I do.
So when you're saying like your games or machine selection, are those choices just your personal preferences, or is there some strategy or I know there's a lot of different ideas about.
There's no strategy.
No strategy, but I mean, is it like where you're comfortable playing? Like you'd rather be by a window compared to a bunch of loud people at a table game? Again,
the theory is that, and it's all theory. The theory is that you are more visible if you're by a window. In the high limit room, for example, in Atlantic City, there are the window areas that have the dragon games, and then right outside of that, there are the floor games, the floor slots. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are walking past those, and they'll hear all of the bells and whistles that are happening. And to me, any place that you can position yourself where you're going to have more people be interested in coming to see what's happening or to generate that excitement, for me, those machines tend to be luckier.
Interesting. And so the theory is that it's better for the casino if winning machines are placed in more visible areas because it'll draw more attention, as opposed to putting more winning machines tucked away where no one can see someone winning.
100%. I believe
really
that.
I mean, people say all sorts of stuff like that, like the games as you're leaving the casino are different, like near the exits and stuff like that. It's really interesting. I mean, I watch lots of slots videos, obviously, as well. And I'm curious if you have any other tips, because I think our viewers are, one of the things they're the most interested in are things that they can try out at least. You have to pick some machine. Why not have some kind of theories or ideas about how you can give yourself a good chance of winning? Anything else that you use to?
Yeah, well, actually, and this is a little bit of research, a little bit of talking. Many casinos treat their high limit rooms as a separate entity from what's on the floor. And even though you don't have to bet the highest limit, you don't have to go in there and bet, thousands and thousands of dollars. You can play the lowest denom. But because it's treated as a separate entity, and because they want to keep their high limit people happier and coming back, I've heard on more than one occasion that on the main floor, it's easier to lose, and on the high limit rooms, it's easier to win. And it's geared towards keeping their people happy, which makes sense.
That makes sense also because they're doing a higher volume, so you wouldn't need as much of a margin to also be profitable and you want those people coming back. That's really interesting. What's typically the lowest like spin per spin or denom or play amount in those high limit rooms?
You can play a 10-cent denom on things, and I've seen, it depends on the casino, obviously, but I've seen $1, I've seen $5, but you can still end up, playing a fairly reasonable thing. You could play a $12.50 bet and still be treated as though you're in the high roller room as a high roller. So
That's interesting.
my luck has happened predominantly in the high roller room. And as I said, I've played anything from a 10-cent denom up all the way up. We're getting crazy all the way up. The other thing I will tell you is if you play the lowest denom, say you play a penny denomination, try to hit the max amount for that that game. So let's say your option is a penny cent, which I don't tend to play pennies, but let's say it's a penny denomination, or maybe it's all aboard. And one of the games where they have a 5-cent or a 10-cent, you pick. You want to play 5-cent or a 10-cent game. If you can play the highest or the second or third highest, in other words, not the lowest button when you put that denomination in, you're giving yourself a little bit more of a fighting chance, I think. I compare it to when I go to play Dragon Slots. I'll play a $1 denomination. The lowest on those you could play for a $1 denomination is $25 bet. But you can play 10-cent denomination. All I'm saying is try not to play that first button. So if the $1 denomination goes anywhere from $25 all the way up to, let's say, $250, try for the $50 bet. Or if you're playing a 10-cent denomination, don't play the lowest one. And in the Hard Rock in Tampa, a lot of people will play a 10-cent denomination, but they're not hitting that first button. They're hitting the second or third or the fourth, so that their bet is just a little bit higher. And those are the ones that tend to win.
Do you think that's in line with what we were talking about before in terms of the casinos wanting to reward people that aren't playing the lowest stakes or the lowest bet choice?
I think so.
That's really interesting. Going back to the high limit, what you mentioned about the high limit room, I feel like personally, I'm not allowed in the high limit room, even though I would like. I wonder if I know I
don't believe that for a second. On the weekends, sometimes you have to show your card, and that's true.
Yeah.
But during the week, you don't have to show identification to get into the high limit rooms. I'll tell you something else. Yeah. To me personally, a Saturday night, everybody and their brother is gambling. I like to go up on a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Sunday after everyone's pumped their money in for the entire weekend, right? And that's when I tend to be luckiest. So that's really interesting. That's my own personal little tidbit.
But do you think that there's a lot of people on the regular floor who are actually playing, like they're playing at the level that they'd be fine in the high stakes room, but they might not know or feel comfortable going in there? Or do you...
Yeah, I do. I think that there are plenty of people playing on the main floor, the same amount of money, the same denomination, and maybe their chances aren't as great. So I would say give that a shot. Yeah. There's one more thing I did learn.
Yeah, no, we want all the
you know when you play those games that you have to fill a pot or fill, whatever. Anytime those visualizations are where you're trying to fill something or the pig has to get bigger and bigger, it's all visual.
It's hard to get your head around it.
Psychological.
Right? Yeah, what do they call that? It's like perceived persistence or something like that. It's a game mechanic that has become so popular. That's true, though. You're confirming that that's true, that it's 100% not tied to what's actually going to happen in terms of the bonus hitting or popping.
100%. In some of the things that, because we started with saying that when I first started this whole thing, it was just, take a video, win, loss. I will show my losses as well as my wins. So win, loss, or whatever, post it, and people will give reactions based. Sometimes, and I said they could be mean. If I don't win, people are like, that sucks. Why did you even bother to post it? It's like, because it's reality and it's gambling, and that's what gambling is. You win, you lose, Yeah. But I don't even know where I was going with that just now. I know. So what happened since that time, not only have I been able to put these things up and put it across all of social media, but I've been invited as an influencer to help open up high limit rooms or casino rooms or casinos themselves, or demonstrate various slot machines. And when you go to demonstrate the various slot machines, the makers and designers are in those rooms with you. And so you get to have these conversations. And so I have had these. I'm probably going to get banned from ever doing this again. The slot company is going to be like, she's out.
You're not coming back in the room. No.
But I have asked them, does that mean anything? And like 9 times out of 10, and these are across the aisle. These are all the different machines, not just one particular brand. I've been told the same thing. And it's all just to get you excited and to get you hyped up and to give you hope. And it's an illusion. So
it's kind of funny, though, because like it just makes it seem like the longer you play, the better chance you have of hitting the bonus, which is obviously true also. But it's not.
I mean, logically, right? The more money you pump in.
It's like, so you are getting closer to the bonus. But it's kind of funny. I mean, how do you feel about mechanics like that? Because I know that's one example of many other, you could say like sometimes can be a bit misleading to people that don't understand what's going on. What's your take on that 3-pot like persistence mechanic that's so popular right now?
I think that you have to have a limit in your head. Set a limit. And I say this in almost every single video that I do. Have a limit. Say, this is entertainment. Win, lose, or draw. This is entertainment. And when I get to that number, win, lose, or draw, I'm not going to go to the ATM. And that's not always easy to do. But if you walk in there, my biggest thing with the whole optical illusion is, don't chase a machine, because you could be sitting there for an hour and a half and not hit. And, casinos are made for a reason. They keep their lights on. They're extravagant and gorgeous, and they're not doing that because every person walking in is walking out with money, right? So you have to keep that in mind. You have to say, okay, I'm going to hit this. I'm going to play this for a couple of spins, and I'm either feeling it or I'm not feeling it. And if I'm not getting what I want out of it, I'm going to go to a different machine. And also, don't stand there the second someone comes onto the machine after you get up, because you know what's going to happen. So don't make yourself crazy. Just be like, I had my fun here. I'm earning points. Let me get out of here and go play something else. So
yeah, that's a great point. Maybe on that point, I can ask you about, what do you see as, and maybe the bigger picture here is that SlotsFan, the website, wants to help slots players have fun, win the most that they can, and play responsibly, and also have the best time. And I'm, on that point, slots influencers seem like they're in such a unique position to educate slots players, to bring them information. I'm curious, in your experience, what are the biggest leaks? You talked about one, chasing machines that have these mechanics, or getting stuck on something and feeling like you've invested in it or something and you need to keep playing. What are some other leaks that you see commonly that slots players are making that they might be able to improve to have a bit more fun, or to have a bit more longevity, and to play responsibly when they're having fun playing slots?
Well, again, as I said, I think the biggest thing is that you have a limit, and set a limit. The second you're getting up to go past your limit to an ATM machine, you're in trouble. So don't do that. So that's the best thing that I can suggest. And again, try to play in the high limit room. I've given you a lot of hints already. A lot of little tips. But I think anybody who comes in and says, "Oh, I'm an expert," it's luck, right? It's timing. Timing is a huge factor. I would say here's something. If you're watching a lot of different slot influencers, and you notice that a lot of us are playing certain games, right? So what comes up a lot? We got pinball, we got the Dragon Links, Top Dollar is played a lot, Locket Links. Those are the ones you see consistently. Buffalo, those are the ones that you see us posting a lot of. Why? because we're having success with those games. So if you're watching and you say, gee, I never see this particular game, I wonder why. And I'm in the casino, and yeah, sure, you could hit it. That could be your lucky day. But we tend to stick with games that we tend to have some sort of a response from. And so the ones that I just mentioned, All Aboard is another one. Those are the ones that, I personally enjoy and I've had a lot of luck on. Dragon Links is very addictive, but I think it's because of how it layers. So it lets you play to get into the bonus. And then once you're in the bonus, of course, it lets you do, and then you can re-trigger games. There's a lot of excitement that surrounds that game. Now, for me personally, Phoenix Link is not one that I personally gravitate to. There are some folks in the industry who absolutely love that game. I think it's good to know what you enjoy also.
Yeah.
And,
it's kind of like going to the movies. People
exactly.
with so many different genres and styles for so many different tastes.
Exactly. And don't play something just because everybody else is playing it. You're there. Again, keep it in your head that you're there for entertainment. That's the most important thing. So if you're there and you're like, I'm going in and I'm going to make money tonight, you're already in trouble. You should not go into the casino.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, like, I've had so many hobbies, like going to the movies or going to play golf, that are pure entertainment, and you pay a lot of money to go do it, and there's no chance of winning. So as long as you approach slots as entertainment, winning's a big bonus that can actually happen, and it does make it more exciting. So
exactly. Or you have your card. Some people will say, oh, I don't use my card sometimes, and then I'll win. That's never been my experience. I always use my card, because if I walk out of there because they're having a gift giveaway, or I have enough points to win a pair of sweats, or, hey, I just got comped a meal because of all the money that I've gambled, well, then I'm still winning. Yeah. So it was an entertainment
that's gotta be, not using a player's card has got to be one of the biggest leaks that people have in their slot play.
Yeah, I don't know. I always use my card. I've heard that. Oh, sometimes I don't put my card in there, and I'm like,
it's zero chance that it affects how much you're going to win, right?
And again, I have spoken to manufacturers. So since this whole thing started, I've really gained a lot of access to a lot of people. And it is its own community. It is its own world. And so I've had the opportunity to speak with manufacturers, designers, casino CEOs, presidents, and they're all telling me the same thing. Like, the card in or out doesn't make a difference in anybody's life. So why not keep it in and get the points?
Yeah. The casino's getting their cut of your money. You might as well get back whatever you can.
Exactly. So you're still walking out with something. You can still pat yourself on the back and feel good about it.
Hey, it's nice getting offers, and it obviously helps. And if you're the kind of person that loves going away for the weekend or going to the casino, it's exciting to have some free stuff when you go there. So I always do it.
Can I do a plug right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
You okay with that?
Yeah,
Speaking of offers, I'm actually doing a Goddess of Slots cruise on September 12th to the 17th of this year. We're going out of Miami, and it's partnering up with Virgin Voyages. And the plug piece of it is that. But the reason I bring it up right at this moment is because you just mentioned offers from different places. The beauty of this particular cruise, which is a gambling cruise, I mean, there's food and there's entertainment and there's specialty restaurants and all of that, but it's a gambling cruise because I'm partnering up with them. If you can show a land-based offer from any casino for 3 nights, you can get your room and all of your food comped on this cruise.
That's really cool. That's smart.
Yeah. So, and because I'm hosting it, essentially, I'm going to also have slot tournaments where you can win free play and you don't have to put money in to win. I'm going to do all kinds of handouts. I'm going to have cocktail parties. I'm actually already making the T-shirts that I'm going to be giving to people.
So fun.
Ever the marketer here.
Awesome.
Yeah, but so the point is, taking off of what you just said, is these offers are good and they can piggyback. You can use an offer from one place to get into something else, i.e., this cruise that I'm doing. You can
That's
also
really
do that. Here's another little
sure.
thing. You can also do that with your status, your cards. So if you have, let's say, a certain status at one casino, many times you can take that status and go to another casino, even if you've never gambled there, but you want to, show them that level and they'll match. A lot of times they'll match. And a lot of times, if you're a first time player, they will give you a gift of some sort.
So like actually show them your physical status card, like with the tier level on it, and that'll be enough for them to take your word for it and make some offers.
Yeah, because it's a
That's
very
really cool.
small world. So they're not taking your offer from it.
Right.
They're not taking your word from it. They're going to look at it and go, oh, Joe Schmo down the block has given
Yeah.
her this status. She must gamble X there, and therefore she qualifies here.
That's really cool. I feel like a lot of people who see this are going to be going out and earning 3 nights comp offer to be able to get onto your cruise for free.
I hope so, because we are going to have so much fun. It's funny because I found out about it because I went on the cruise. I was invited to go with the big jackpot, Raja.
Nice.
And he did a cruise, and it was such a great time. They did group pulls, and we really had a blast. And because of what a wonderful time we had, I was approached by Virgin to come up with my own cruise. And I said, I'll do that. And I said, but he's a guy and I'm a girl, and I'm going to want certain things like, I want it to be pretty, and I want it, I want it different. And they understood. They said yes to everything. So like my cocktail party is going to be, special. And I have, as I said, I have T-shirt handouts and
That's so cool.
just all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's such a cool kind of evolving space. I come from a background in poker media, and poker has a big media infrastructure. There's tournaments and well-known pros, and it's on TV. And obviously, sports and sports betting has this big sports media infrastructure, but casino never really had it before. And it's so exciting to see it kind of emerging and evolving with slots influencers, because we see this as the casino, like the slots version of the entertainment and, the marketing opportunities that come with it. So I'm curious for you, where do you see this going? And, you mentioned that you've already participated in lots of this stuff. How big do you think slots influencers can get? And how do you think that casinos can learn to benefit from influencers like you?
It's interesting because when I first got into it, some places were absolutely opposed to having anybody come in and film. Borgata in Atlantic City was one of those. And every other day I would send them something saying, you're missing the boat. I'm in Hard Rock right down the block from you, and they're letting me film freely in there. You're missing the boat. And I guess eventually MGM, Borgata is owned by MGM now. They used to be their own entity. They finally wised up, and now they allow people to come in and film. But in New Jersey, for example, there are rules and regulations that are different than other states. In Las Vegas, you can film, for example, in the Wynn, anywhere you want on the floor. Cannot film in the high limit room. Which to me is insane, because that's where the excitement is. And if you want to try to draw people in, why wouldn't you do that? But their take on it is that they have clientele that wants to remain anonymous, which I understand there's that other piece of it. I think it started out with a lot smaller amount of influencers, and now it's just like everybody and their uncle is doing it. So that's kind of crazy and fun.
What do you think about these events? You mentioned your cruise and launching new high limit rooms and new games. Do you think that there's an opportunity for casinos to actually use this as an event to bring people in? I remember there was a big, Sloticon drew quite a few people when it happened at Foxwoods. Do you think that that's an opportunity that will continue to see grow?
I absolutely think it is. I think that, again, casinos that are not doing this are really missing the boat, because all you're doing is additional publicity, right? And every slot channel has their own personality. So if you have people who like to follow your personality, what you know, who you are. I have, for example, almost 200,000 followers on Instagram. So how does that hurt a casino to say, hey, she's got all these followers and she's going to say, come on in. I have some things upcoming. Like I'm going to go to a New Hampshire casino that's very small. That's happening in May, the weekend of May 16th and 17th. And they said, we've not really worked with influencers before, but we see the value of, you know, what it adds. Not only are we there to meet and greet, but let's face it, at the bottom, you know, at the end of the day, we're gamblers, right? So
get you in the door yourself is lucrative for them.
Exactly. I mean, and by a casino saying, it's a very smart business move. For them to say, yes, you can film here. And of course, there are guidelines that people have to respect. Of course, the minute you go off of the guidelines, you're going to have a problem. So it's film, but don't get anyone else in your films. Fine, that makes perfect sense. Respect other people's privacy. Absolutely, I'm all for that. But also, you know, come on in. We know that you want to film content. The way to do that is to gamble. So now you're sitting at a thing. And like I said earlier, if I'm gambling and I'm maybe not having huge success at one machine, but I need content, I'm going to move to another machine, right? So now I've got 5 or 6 pieces of content for that particular day. And I'm dropping all kinds of money. I'm not getting money unless it's like free play because I've earned it from my gamble. So, you know, the casino makes out on many, many ends, not only the gambler themselves or the fact that it's an influencer, but when we have these meet and greets, gosh, people turn out just because they like the personality. They turn out because they think we have additional luck somehow. There's all kinds of stuff. So I don't see a downside at all for the casinos. I think they're smart to agree to all of this.
I mean, I think you deserve to be compensated for that service. And I'm sure there's a way that'll, become a bit more clear as far as the value that you're bringing and maybe a more
as it grows, I guess, as it grows.
Yeah, I think so. I'm curious about the kinds of people that you meet. You know, our website's called SlotsFan, and we're primarily here for the players. Can you describe what your audience is like and some of the people that you've met, and maybe what does a meet and greet look like, and what's the vibe, and how much fun is it? What are you guys doing at these kind of things? Who are the people that show up?
Sure. So I love the people that show up because everybody, the way I've always taken it and the way a lot of the fans take it is it's sort of us against the casino. So it's fun because they'll come and they'll ask for a tip or they'll say, can we get a picture with you? And I'm all about that. I'm all about spending time communicating with people. I always welcome people to come over and say hi and take a picture. And I'm to the point now where I'll walk through a casino and people go, goddess! And I'll be like, ah! And it's fun though. It's sort of like, I created this character and we're all in on it. You know what I mean? Like that's my take on it. Like the slot fan is in on it and I'm in on it. We're all in on this thing of, hey, we're having a good time. We're having a fun night or a fun day. And again, it's us against the casino in a way. The one funny time, and I always say, come on over and say hello. But one time I was literally in the middle of filming a bonus and an older lady came over and she got into this entire conversation while I was live. And I was like trying to say, yeah, we're live. And she's like, oh, and another thing, you look pretty tonight. I'm like, oh, thank you. She's like, can we get a picture? Okay. So it was fine and it was fun. It was very sweet.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that apart from being the goddess of slots, you're an actress. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about your history, maybe how that helps you in your slots influencer life and any stuff that you've got going on that side of your life right now.
Sure. I went to college for acting, but also theater, communications. Like I had 9 million majors because had very driven parents. But I have been doing it pretty much my whole life. I would take little detours. I went and got my master's degree in social work, and I went to law school for a bit, and just different pieces of my life. But I always came back to the acting thing. So I was in California doing various films. And I produced a film called Six Gun Savior, which is a supernatural Western, which is different. You'll have to check it out. But I've also gotten to, and that was with Marty Cove and Eric Roberts, and they were both a blast. Eric Roberts plays the devil, actually, and Marty Cove is like the mentor. And I actually play Zathara, and I have a red wig, and I'm the embodiment of death. And I give people the opportunity to choose revenge or, and everybody chooses revenge all the time. It's
I think they could make a slot machine out of this movie. It sounds like a good.
They absolutely could.
Eric Roberts.
Yeah, they absolutely could. Yeah, Eric Roberts is a blast. He's a good guy.
So cool.
Marty Cove is actually Marty's a friend, and it's funny because he really never gambled on slot machines before. And one time he came to visit me in Florida, and I said, "Can we go to the casino?" And he came with, and we were gambling. He's like, "What do I do now?" And I think I even posted something like that. And we ended up hitting. It was really very cute. And excuse me for 1 second. It was really very cute and very fun. And when we hit, he got all excited. And before long, we had this crowd around us. And so I've actually had a couple of people that I've worked with come and gamble with me, professionally in them. But so I've done movies. You can find me on imdb.me/Lorraine Ziff. And that's where I'm at. And you can find all the different stuff that I've done there. But I do have two upcoming. Yeah, it's fun. I have two upcoming television series. One is about the greatest art heist that happened in America, which happened in Boston and is still unsolved to this day. And it has nothing to do with gambling or slots or anything else. That's my professional life. For the longest time, I didn't combine the two. But now I'm like, whatever. The second TV show that's coming up is actually, it's funny you mentioned poker before. I cannot say anything more than it is a gambling comedy, a scripted show, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of laughs. I tend to have to go out to California to do it, and we're working on that series now. Poker is involved.
Interesting. We've always wanted there to be like a more main, Rounders was so big, but I always thought it would be amazing to have a poker TV show. Maybe a slots TV show or a slots movie would help grow the community.
Well, that's something for me personally. That's one of my goals, is down the road to come up with some sort of a show that there's a couple of different takes on it. One is like sort of have my band of merry men and go to different casinos and sort of it's almost like an American Pickers or something like
reality show.
Yeah, like one of those shows, and sort of follow the lives of, and the other would be a scripted show. Again, sort of the same type of thing. Get this group of sort of misfits. Everybody has their gambling thing, and that could be a comedy too. But that's for me down the road that I've always been interested to try to sort of marry the acting piece of it with the gambling piece of it. And to answer your question, I've always felt super comfortable meeting people and super comfortable in front of a camera. So.
You mentioned the big jackpot before. I also saw that Vegas Matt's been on your channel. Yep. There's like legit celebrities growing in the slot space.
Absolutely. Those are two of the legit celebrities. They really are treated like celebrities.
I'm curious from your perspective and having a background in the entertainment industry, what do you think it is about the people that are kind of at the top of the rankings right now when it comes to slots influencers? Like Vegas Matt shot up in the last 2 years. The big jackpot's been there more or less the whole time. What do you think sets these people apart and leads to them really succeeding to this outsized extent?
I think the fact that people are approachable is a big piece of it. As I said earlier, I think each of us has our own sort of lane. So Vegas Matt is sort of that college dad guy. He's super nice in person too. I've met him, and what you see is what you get. Just as he is, playing and gambling, that's just how he is as a human being. He's a super nice guy. The big jackpot is fun, and he'll do goofy stuff, and he was one of the people who actually helped sort of guide me when I first got into this. I said, I don't know anything. I don't know how to do anything. And he said, well, this is maybe the speaker you should use. When I first started, I would just like scream into the camera in hopes of being heard, And he said, no, you need to get an actual speaker, and this is a good brand. Or, or maybe when he first started having some of these unveilings of different machines, he would say, hey, why don't you come with? And so he's a good guy. I always give him kudos, and I truly appreciate him just for having always been approachable. And I think that having been on a cruise with him and having been to other, casino events with him, when people walk over to him and they want to talk to him, he's very open and accepting and very, yeah, come on over, let's get a picture, sure, no attitude. Nice. And I think a lot of us are the same way. Like, we appreciate our fans. So we don't want to have an attitude with you. And I think that's what makes us approachable. And that's why, people approach us and appreciate that we're approachable. We appreciate that they're coming to us. So it's this beautiful circle of kindness and fun and happiness. Like, I'm in a casino just to have a good time. I don't, no stress, no drama, no negativity.
You're going to need to get some of those things on your reality show, though. That's what reality TV is all about. There has to be stress.
I know. It's funny. Years ago, I was approached to be, they actually wanted me to be one of the housewives of New Jersey.
Okay.
And they pursued me and pursued me and pursued me. And I was like, I am not interested in that. Thank you. That's not who I am. Plus, again, I have a lot of, I've done a lot of professional work with professional actors and actresses. And I have my IMDb and I have my SAG card, which legitimizes you. So it's, I'm a member of the SAG Academy and everything. So I'm not going to do something that's going to harm me. But actors maybe are not as approachable. Maybe you're not seeing them in your local store. Maybe you're not seeing them down the block to the same place that you frequent. Maybe they've got bodyguards. Maybe, and that's what sets influencers apart, because so many of us are like, hey, I'm gambling, you're gambling, sure, I'll say hi and take a picture with you.
No doubt. It's also the dynamic in the lives is so interesting because you get to really interact with the influencers. You get to chat with them and they speak directly to you. They remember who you are. It's it's been a number of years, but when I first got into streaming with poker and casino, I was so blown away by how sincere and kind of authentic the community and the relationships really are for so many of these people. It really blew me away. And I think then when you see people in real life, you have a closer connection with them than you do even with bigger actors and celebrities, because they talk directly to you. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because when I first started, somebody actually said to me, oh, if you're disappointed, don't, if you don't win, don't show that. And I said, you know what, that's not me. Like, if I'm winning, I'm excited. And if maybe I'm not, I'll say things like, oh, I'm still positive, but I'll be like, oh man, I really wish we had gotten whatever. And the way I feel is I'm taking you on a journey with me. We're in this together. And that to me is different than the acting world. That's me standing there, reciting lines, doing my thing, being a character. Here, although I'm still sort of a character, what you see is what you get. So if I'm goofy in real life. That's me. I laugh a lot. That's,
Yeah. With so many streamers and influencers, it's like you'd be doing it anyway, even if the cameras weren't there. It's what you already love and what you already do. And people have the privilege to join you and get to have a window into what you're doing, what you would be doing anyway. So it's so much more authentic, or a lot of the authenticity I think comes from that. that
Yeah.
dynamic.
And again, I think a lot of people like Slot Hopper Chick, who I got to meet personally, so sweet and so nice and so like, hey, if you have questions, or Mama Sips Slots. I just met them. We'd corresponded all the time, on social media, but we just physically met not that long ago, and we ended up saying, hey, you want to do a collab? Okay, let's do it. And we just had so much fun and laughing, and we didn't win on every single thing. We still posted it. We didn't win, but just the fact that you can do that. I got to meet Binky of Binky Loves Slots. And she's a sweetheart too. And she's like, let's do this thing. And it's girl power. NG is one of the nicest humans. He's just always so pleasant. And his wife is a really nice guy, nice lady too. And,
That's awesome.
I enjoy the community. I enjoy the people who come, and I enjoy the people who are within the community itself. And of course, Lady Luck HQ, she's the biggest, and she's been doing it since day one. And again, I don't know if there's a competition with one another so much as everybody has their lane and sort of sticks in their lane.
It's really interesting. I mean, I think, there's always going to be some level of competition, but it seems like the community's pretty supportive and collaborative in general. It's also got to be the case that it's like, there's a lot, everyone shares an audience to some extent.
Right.
A lot of people have their favorites, but are also watching a lot of the stuff in the space. It seems like what's happening is kind of like a rising tide lifts all ships, and everyone can succeed more together by embracing the growth of this community. And
Exactly.
That's definitely what we want to do at SlotsFan. Maybe on that note, I'd love to ask you, what do you think is missing from the community, or what do you think is an opportunity for, a website like SlotsFan, for influencers, for casinos? Where do you think the space is going, and where do you see opportunities for growth or for innovation going forward?
That's a good question.
Give me your secret.
A really good question. I've tried to do some things differently on my channel than maybe other people. Some people focus solely on slots. Some people will focus solely on the machine. They'll do an intro and an outro, and then it's just the machine. What I've tried to do is be the personality with the machine. So again, what you see is what you get. I see myself as sort of that girl next door. I could either, I'm your BFF, but also, maybe I'm that girl that is super nice to you, that's got some sexiness to her, So that's sort of my lane, if you will. I try to show not only slots, not only the machine, but again, you're getting my expressions, you're getting my physicality with the machine. So if we're winning, I'm very animated, as you can tell. I'm talking with my hands, so I'm Italian. that's the giveaway there. But but you get all of that. In addition, I'll try to show you things that maybe other people are not. So lifestyle stuff. Again, being an actress, I've been able to show things from behind the scenes of different sets. My interests tend to be fishing. Now I'm going to sound like a dude, but I like fishing. I like guns. I like cars. I like all the, I like gambling. Gosh, my dad raised me like a boy. But I'll show those things. So I was just recently and my other passion is charities, any charity in particular for kids. And so I'll try to show those things as well. So I was just recently at, it was called Thunder by the Bay. It actually just happened. And it's a charity that raises money for local kids. But in addition to that, it was a motorcycle rally for 3 days. And we had all kinds of bands and food and charity auction events. And I'm dressed in my leathers, right? So that's something that I did lives from, and I bring you with me. And yeah, we go into the VIP tent so you can check out what's going on there. Another thing that I did recently was if you're into cars, there's an auction called Mecum. It's the largest car auction in the country. And just because it's an interest of mine and something I'm involved with, I'll get to bring you with me to the front row seats.
Very cool.
So we're right there and we get to, see that. So I like to think that not only are you getting to see the casino stuff, but you're also getting all these other things, be it a charity event or an activity, or me being on the boat and just, hey, it's a great day and I just want to send out good vibes. I'm always trying to do that. So I think it's more of a lifestyle. And in addition to everything else, on my particular site, I am also partnered with someone. And so every article of clothing that you see on every one of my posts is for sale, because we also have a lifestyle clothing thing that's tied into it.
Well, that sounds innovative, connecting it with other business interests. And it also just sounds like you're, the slots influencer career like lines up really well with your love of travel and love of experiences. Is it the case that you're getting to go and basically just have fun at all these different locations while you're also capturing content and sharing it with your audience?
That's exactly right. So New Hampshire, as I said, I'm going to be there at the Revo Casino. I've never been there. I've never been to that part of New Hampshire. Don't know that I would have gone to Dover, New Hampshire, but I got the invite. I'm going to go and I'm going to check it out. I get people on my social media that will say, hey, why don't you come to X, Y, and Z casino? And I'll say, you know what? I've not been there, but if you can get someone from that casino to invite me, sure, I'll come out. Let's check it out and see what it's about.
So does that usually get set up by like a host or a marketing person at a casino actually reaching out to you, or a fan of yours? Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit of everything. What's happened is I've had other slot influencers say to me, I'm going to X, Y, and Z, and I'll put your name in to see if you want to join. Like, as I said, Raj has done for me, Big Jackpot. Or I've been invited because of, maybe I'm having something that happens in the Atlantic City Hard Rock, and they know me there. Hard Rock's something that I tend to play at a lot, no matter where I go. And maybe someone from marketing sees that I've been in Atlantic City, so they'll say, hey, come to Tampa because we're having this rollout. Okay, so then I'll go there too. So it comes across in a lot of different ways. While I was at an event, I was actually physically approached by Adam, who is the general, he runs El Cortez. Now, I'd never been to El Cortez before. And he said, hey, we'd like to have you come out. We're having a bunch of other slot people come out. And so I went once. I loved El Cortez. I love the way they treat their people there. Not only their influencers, but their people, because they run it like a family business. And I'm going to be going back for sure. I've gone back once. I have upcoming things that they'll be definitely going back for. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, it just seems like such a big opportunity to connect with real slots players. It's hard to market to slots players in any targeted way, but slots influencers are such a great way to do that. Do you think we'll ever see you or other slots influencers like in advertising campaigns and stuff? Like, it seems like such a compelling way to market casino.
It does, doesn't it?
It kind of puts a face to it.
I keep bringing that up.
Yeah. I mean, you see these big casinos do like celebrity endorsement deals, whether it's like Jamie Foxx or Kev, but I don't know if those people really, connect with the casino players themselves in the way that slots influencers do. So it'd be so interesting to see that as it evolves.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've actually mentioned that more than once to the Hard Rock people, like, hey, I'm already here. I'm already doing this for you. I kind of have a decent following at this point across all of social media. So when I was in New Jersey, I was actually able to do some things with the sports betting. In New Jersey, you can do sports betting and you can also do slot stuff. In Florida, for example, you can only do sports betting. You cannot gamble online. Yeah. But you cannot gamble casinos in Florida online. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, that's been a little bit of a sticking point here. But when I'm in New Jersey, and I'm in New Jersey every summer because I have place at the beach, I'm able to do sports betting, and I'm also able to do online casino gambling. And I've put those things up on my sites,
That's
just
so
saying, hey, I can do this. So.
Have you ever pursued any kind of endorsement or sponsorship with online casinos to travel to those kind of places?
I haven't, and I know a lot of people have, and I think that's something that I've left on the table. And I will look into that. I just feel like right at this moment, I have so much stuff going on. Like 1,500 different directions that I'm being pulled in.
Hey, fair enough. Do you know anything about sweepstakes casinos?
I don't.
Okay.
I can honestly say I don't.
It's, earlier in this conversation when I mentioned poker and rounders and the poker boom, one of the big parts of the poker boom was online poker, putting a lot of money into the space through endorsements and marketing and stuff like that. Right now, there's a kind of social casino that's called a sweepstakes casino, and you'll see a lot of other slots influencers promoting it. These are brands like Chumba, Pulse, High Five. A lot of the big names are promoting these, and they're actually available in most US states. And they offer online slots that are similar, in some cases, the same games that you can play in places like New Jersey, but they're done on a sweepstakes model, which is a little different. So there's like a virtual currency, and you can't actually, it's not really playing for real money, but you can redeem for cash prizes and other prizes. But it's sort of similar to the poker boom now, where a lot of marketing money is coming into the space through sweepstakes and social casinos. So it's definitely an opportunity for
it sounds like definitely sounds like something. Thank you. I just wrote it down. So it definitely sounds like something worth checking out. The Chumba I've heard of, but I didn't make the connection there.
Yeah, I think like if you go to, I mean, it seems like the majority of channels nowadays, you'll find that on their live, they're doing lives on sweeps casinos in some form. Certainly the big ones are. But it's a lot of fun, and it's a great option for people that don't live in a state where there's regulated real money gambling online, or if you don't live close to a real casino, which is the case for so many people.
Sure. It sounds like it'd be perfect for Florida, where you cannot gamble real money.
And you get to, if you're an influencer, you get to make content from home, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, yeah, because it could be exhausting.
On that point, I'm curious what your take on responsible gambling when it comes to marketing and influencers are for casino. I think the reality is that influencers in lots of spaces, and definitely in the casino space, are normalizing an activity that can be problematic for people, and it can be dangerous. I'm curious if you feel a responsibility, or how that factors into the content that you make, and how you talk about it, and how you think about gambling.
Sure, absolutely. That is why on so many of my reels, I'll either start or finish with bet with your head, and I don't want to be cliche with bet with your head, not over it, but I'll always say this is entertainment, it's gambling, you have wins, you have losses. Set a budget, stick to your budget. That's my catchphrase, actually. Set a budget, stick to a budget. And remember that it's just all about fun. And the minute you go over that budget, as I said, you have trouble. I think also that's why I personally, not all influencers do this, but I'll show you my wins and I'll show you my losses. And I'll show you that sometimes I walk out down. And
no way.
It's
really?
The reality of it. Well, not mentally.
Just financially. No,
just financially, yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, there has to be some kind of dynamic too. Like, you can't have highs if there are no lows. And I feel like there's a bit of fatigue when it comes to channels that are betting so big, and it's all just like all winning, even, not representing it totally accurately. So it's awesome to hear that that's something that you do think about.
The other thing is I will show all denominations. I am not one of these people who's coming in and betting, $500 a spin. I'm not going to do that. Like, to me, I'd rather put my money towards something else. So that's not within my personal entertainment budget. Could I afford it? Yeah. Is that someplace I want my money? No, I'd rather do something else with that money. So I'll show you a 10-cent denomination. I'll show you a $1 denomination. As I said, most of my bets are $25. A lot of times I'll go up to $50, but for me to go much further than that, that's not me. And I think the other piece of it is people have to bet what they're comfortable betting. And, It's not true. Here's another tip for you. It's not true that you have to bet millions and millions of dollars just to win something. I have seen people win with really low denominations, and I've seen people come in thinking they were a big shot and throwing down the largest bet and walking away with nothing. And the bottom line is it's luck, it's timing, it's entertainment. And if you can walk in knowing that, you'll be okay.
Yeah, it's so true. It's all relative anyway. Like your risk and reward are always really connected. But
I mean, at least poker, you gotta, really, you gotta do some calculations there. With slots, I mean, we're pressing buttons.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people fool themselves playing poker thinking that they're not gambling when they're treating it a lot like gambling. But it is totally true that poker's a big skill game. I'm curious, like whenever it's kind of similar to poker, whenever you enter a big tournament, there's this kind of dream of winning the tournament, winning the main event, winning winning $1 million or something like that. Is that a dream, or is that part of the excitement for you? Is the fact that you can, slots are so special because you can win such a big multiplier on your bet. I'm curious if that kind of spark or that dream, is that something you feel still after having played so many slots, or was it ever?
Every time I go in there, I'm like, hey, I'm hoping to win. I mean, whoever walks in and says, I hope to lose. But, I've been in $1 million tournaments, and I'm just happy for a seat at the table, honestly. I'm like, if I win, I win. If I don't win, I've had fun. It's fun to me to get I'm a bit competitive, so it's fun for me to get to the next level. Hey, I made the semifinals. Wow. Like I didn't win, but I made it to this point. But I don't ever take it so seriously that it'll affect me mentally. I don't ever take it like I have to be in this $1 million thing and, everything's riding on this. I never take it like that, because every single one of us slot influencers have a life outside of the casino. And I think that it's important for fans to understand that. We do this, we have a good time with this. Some of us are making careers out of this, but there's always something else also. So just keep that in the back of your head. And Lady Luck, for example, she posts her wins and her losses, and she says her losses are much greater than her wins in the casinos. But that's not where her living is coming from. Her living is coming from the social media aspect of it. As I said, I've got my acting thing. Everybody has something going on. And I think that's very, very important for people to understand.
I was hoping I could ask you what your biggest win on or off stream was, and if you could tell us the story of it, or
Sure.
biggest or most exciting.
So I think the first time I ever won was like it was $1,500, and I was like jumping for joy. It's funny because I was thinking about that, but that was very exciting. I was in the Hard Rock Tampa, and it was a $25 spin, $1 denomination, $25 spin, and I hit the major, and that was a $27,000 major. Wow. And I lost my mind.
What game was it?
It was Dragon Links.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Which I think that's, for me, that was like the first game that I ever played and won on. That's the game that took me viral. So I have a certain love of that game. And it's designed very well. There's an excitement about that game that keeps people wanting to come back for more. So that was a big one. I actually wrote them down just so that I could remember them. The second time I did a one spin, first spin, and I actually hit the wrong button by accident, and this is online. And it ended up being a $250 spin, which I was like, I can't believe it that I did. And my friends came over to me like, what did you do? And then it went into actually I won. I won for 18. It was my first spin. I just pressed the wrong denomination. I won almost $19,000.
Wow.
And my friend was like, okay, let's go. Let's get out of here. And I said, no, let me just play a little tiny bit more. I walked in with, very little. So to be able to do this is a big deal. And 2 spins later, and I dropped the bet down. 2 spins later, I won for another almost $9,000.
Wow.
And again, that was Dragon. That was another time for Dragon. But
what happened on that first misclick? Did it bonus, or was it like a big?
We went into a bonus, and
crazy.
Yeah, and but I was like dying and laughing and loving and excitement, and so every emotion that you could imagine, like I can't believe I did that, to oh my God, I can't believe I did that,
That's such a cool story.
Yeah.
Okay.
I won $16,000 at the Encore in Boston when I was playing the diamonds, the double diamonds, which is not something that I play a lot of, but it just so happened that this is going to sound crazy. And, every one of us has our own superstitions and, whatever. For me, I'll walk through a room and I'll be like, I'm really feeling the vibe. I know it sounds crazy, but a lot of people who gamble feel this way. Like, I'm really feeling the pull of that machine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened with that machine. And it was a win. It was a $16,000 win. And
wow.
Yeah.
I'm curious where, and this is my way of slowly starting to wrap it up, but I'm curious, where do you see this going for you, for your channel, and for the space at large, for slots influencers? If you could wave a magic wand and have the next 10 years play out the way you'd want it to, what would happen?
Well, I'll tell you right now that if I could wave my magic wand, I'd again like to be able to marry all of my personal different entrepreneurial spirits together. So again, I want to pursue, a TV show, a Netflix show, something that could, very similar perhaps to the wide world of poker or any of those things, and just get more into it in that regard, to be able to show there's a lot of characters personality-wise in casinos, and I think the people who don't get into casinos are like, wow. So to be able to show that, but to be able to show that people have a heart too, I think that's so a TV show or a movie or something in that regard, and then also the pursuit of the clothing line for me personally.
That's so cool.
Thank you. I don't see it going away anytime soon, though. I really don't, because if anything, it's growing.
It's growing big time. I mean, we're on SlotsFan. We have almost 300 YouTube channels ranked that we follow. And I know, like you mentioned, the size of your following on Instagram, and this is true for lots of people where they're popular on lots of different platforms. So I really feel like we're at the beginning of the growth of this space. And I do think it's such a cool marketing opportunity. It's such a cool way for people who play slots to feel represented and to be able to participate in a community that wasn't as accessible in the past. So I'm so excited to be part of it. And I can't wait to hopefully attend one of your meet and greets one day, or one of your cruises. I'll start working on my comp offers now. We so appreciate you coming on the show, Lorraine, and for all your time, and we wish you the best of luck on the machines, but also with all your other interests. And I look forward to hopefully one day watching the TV show or the movie that captures some of the characters and some of the stories from this space, because I think it's very fertile for those things.
Thank you. I appreciate it. One little extra thing. Yeah. Some people really enjoy, and I've heard this a lot, people enjoy being able to watch these channels because they'll say, I can't get to the casino and I get to live through the excitement of what you're doing. And I get to keep my money in my pocket. So
kind of a win-win. You can lose the money for them.
I really look forward to meeting you at some point. I appreciate your time so much. And if I could just say to everybody, if they could go to www.goddessofslots.com, they will be able to find out where I am, what I'm doing, the TV shows when they come out, all of that will be there. There's news articles and so on and so forth. So
that's amazing. Well, we can't wait to keep promoting all your content on SlotsFan, and thanks again so much for your time today, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks, Lorraine.